Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is BestInSlot. Welcome back to our mod spotlight series for Jurassic World Evolution 2. 10 new mods to check out today. Of course, it's been 4 whole days since I did one of these videos. Loads of really good stuff as well. Lots of high quality today. Really excited to showcase some of this new stuff. Before we do that though, very quick disclaimer. Mods can possibly break your game. They're not officially endorsed by Frontier. If they do break your game, it's not my fault, it's not the mod maker's fault, and most importantly, it's not Frontier's fault. Please leave them alone. You'll probably be okay, especially with new species and stuff. There's no reason they'd break the game per se, but the first thing you should do if you're having problems is uninstall all your mods. Make sure you've got ACSE installed correctly, all that kind of jazz. So, let's get started. Asmodeus is here, but unfortunately, due to the sheer quantity of modding content, Asmodeus has kind of, you know when you get like a sugar high and then you collapse afterwards? That's kind of what's going on with Asmodeus. So he's just sleeping away in the corner, resting, and hoping for a slightly more chill week next week so he can actually come back and talk to you all. Let's kick things off with a very exciting return to the Cretaceous Calamity Tyrannosaurus Rex. Cretaceous Calamity, of course, will be a name that some people recognise from long ago. This is made by Harlequin's Ego, Incinerox, and Doc 589, and I really like this mod for a couple of different reasons. First of all, it takes the Rex in a more paleo-friendly direction. Of course, it's big and chunky. Tyrannosaurus Rex wasn't some live, skinny little predator. It was an absolute brute of a dinosaur. It was humongous. I think it's actually undersold quite often in media how large the Rex was, I should say, and this one does a really good job of portraying that. It looks really, really cool. I'm just going to release another one quickly because I want to show you something here. The really cool thing about this mod is not just how fantastic the Rex looks. The texture work is beautiful, it's rigged really well, the modelling is fantastic, but you can see that it's actually on my T-Rex. If I come here to skin colour, you can see we've got all these right here. So actually what's happened is the Cretaceous Calamity Rex has been added as a cosmetic over the top of the regular Rex. So you can keep your standard Jurassic World Evolution Rex, and all you have to do is come in here and change the skin colour. And that means, of course, you'll get this in your randomize occasionally as well. And I'm going to turn off the pattern, and this should be, very quickly release this, a much different take on the same dinosaur. Let's have a look. I love that. There we go. Now that's a proper Cretaceous Calamity Rex. That bright red head, that phenomenal patterning, looks like something out of Pokemon or something like that. Really does highlight the sheer bulk going on here. We've even got these bony protuberances above the eye, this boss over here above the nasal ridge, which is actually quite a common thing you see. It's still speculative as far as I know, but there's suggestions it would have been there. You'll see that in quite a lot of dinosaur media, T-Rex media nowadays. Although the recent one in Loop does not have it, I don't believe. Either way, an absolutely fantastic Rex, and as a thingamajiggy, as a cosmetic, I think it's just got an extra layer of cool to it. It is, however, about to walk in front of the bloody hatchery. Get out of the way. Thank you, but no. Oh, you cheeky son of a gun. Right, okay. Next up, we have Tarchia. Tarchia? I'm going to go Tarchia. So this absolutely beautiful little dinosaur is Tarchia Kailane, made of course by LA Studios. This is their 4th release after What Are You Doing, Buddy? Let's go check out the others, although that's the one with the nice colours, so that's what I want to look at. Can you just stop doing what you're doing though? Made by LA Studios, this is the Late Cretaceous Mongolian Ankylosaur. God, I love this map, by the way. The fog makes me so happy. Late Cretaceous Mongolian Ankylosaur. Its name means brainy one because basically it's got a big old skull, a big cranium, the skull, the brain cavity. Look at that. Look at that in the tree line there. Just look at that. Look at it. It's beautiful. It had a large cavity, brain cavity, in the way it was assembled. And there is another Chinese ankylosaur called Xiphactinus. I don't know. It's something like that. And basically, Tarchia had a larger brain cavity, so it got called the brainy one, which means I just feel kind of bad for Xiphactinus. But moving on, I'm being very slow today. We must get a move on. Next up, we have Datanglong. Worth bearing in mind that I always pick random colorations for these, so if they turn out looking a bit funky, it's usually my fault. This is Datanglong, made by Near01, who I do not recognise as a name on the Nexus, so that's pretty cool. This is a carcharodontid from early Cretaceous China, approximately 30 feet long. This is a big boy, based on the single specimen we have. Funnily enough, this is Datanglong. There's also a hadrosaur in China. Although not from the same era, unfortunately, that would have been much more entertaining. But there's a hadrosaur in China called Datanglong. So we've got Datanglong in early Cretaceous, and then late Cretaceous we had Datanglong. Either way, really nice to see. This is... the patterning is maybe a little bit over the top for my personal tastes, but it is personal taste, but it's been remodeled really well, looks really interesting. It does resemble the dinosaur, got that really thin scalp. That could be even thinner, but I know that was causing some problems. Yeah, really cool to see it come to life. A dinosaur that I was not aware of until right now, which I always really appreciate. Right, so very special moment for me, obviously, as a bona fide sloth lover. Next up, we have Megatherium. Yeah, so Megatherium, made by Yosaba. Megatherium is our South American giant ground sloth, of course, and Megatherium in particular was, I mean, there were a lot of ground sloths back at the time, but Megatherium was one of the bigger ones, elephant-sized, absolutely gigantic, furry beast. Desperately wish I lived in a time where these guys lived as well, but, you know, life just isn't that kind sometimes. Walking around there on the back of its hands just like a gorilla would. Big old, chonky sloth. For some fun facts about the ground sloth. So it's around from the early Pliocene to the end of the Pleistocene, wiped out by humans inevitably, and also the shrinking of its habitat. The funny thing is, so there's the Great American Interchange, which was basically a scenario where tons of paleofauna in North America migrated to South America, and lots of paleofauna in South America moved to North America, and it kind of happened at roughly the same time. And a lot of the animals that went from north to south did really well, because South America until then had been like a separate little island where all these incredible species, like the Megatherium, had sprouted up. You know, they were separated from the rest of the world, and tons of unique animals came about because of that. And all these ground sloths appeared in South America. Loads of animals came from North to South America, did really well, but loads of animals went from South America to North America and did terribly, including a large number of ground sloths. Megatherium was basically one of the only ones that held back. It didn't move from South to North America, and that probably helped it stick around a lot longer. It's worth mentioning, I believe this is using the new fur shader. There's a mention of the fur shader on the Nexus page by Yosua. I think it uses the fur shader anyway. I mean, it obviously uses a fur shader. I'm assuming that's new. I'm trying to remember what Megatherium used to look like in the game. But it is actually furry as well, which is really cool to see, because of course that's now a capability we have thanks to things like the furry Rex, etc. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big-ass sloth. I'm very happy. It looks awesome. Let's move on. Our final terrestrial creature for today is Regaliceratops. I've seen the one I like. This one. So it's quite a small little ceratopsid. This it's not a humongous ceratopsid by any stretch of imagination. You can see it compared to our Datanglong there. This is made by A0 annoying but with a 0 after the A. Chasmosaurian ceratopsid from late Cretaceous Canada, and known from a single skull. Regaliceratops is a pretty good example of estimations in dinosaur size based on limited information. I mean, obviously there's some dinosaurs that we have a lot less, but just for this circumstance, Regaliceratops is from a single skull, and from that people predict it's 16 feet long and 2 metric tons, and that's based on just little factors at the back of the skull and like the tip of the vertebra and obviously related dinosaurs and stuff like that. In reality, we don't have a bloody clue. For all we know, Regaliceratops, for reasons unknown to science, could have a giant hump here that glows in the dark and dispenses lemons when it's cold outside. I mean, it's unlikely, don't get me wrong, but it's not factually impossible. I don't know if lemons existed back then. They may not have. Maybe Regaliceratops invented lemons. You just can't say otherwise. Either way, really nice model. It just fits perfectly into the game. It's got like a little bit of a glimmerer here on the skull, on this little bit here, and it's got this really short kind of frill, which is something that the Chasmosaurians did quite a lot. These shorter frills at the back. And yeah, just a really cute, well-made ceratopsid. Fits really well into the game. You wouldn't look at it and say, oh, that's, you know, it just blends in perfectly. This is one of those species where I think, why not have it? It just adds a little bit more variety that you didn't have in the past and doesn't cost you anything anymore. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Shout out to Annoying, A0 Annoying. Right, moving on. We've got 3 more creatures to show and then a little something something. We're going to go to the skies next, and we're going to check out... They've done that on purpose. Chen? It might be Chen, actually. Zhenyuanopterus. I'm going to go with that. Let's go. So, this is another pretty beautiful looking pterosaur. I mean, people have been knocking it out of the park when it comes to pterosaurs. They really have. And this might be the best of the bunch so far. This is made by HyperSGYT and Itayo Hammond. And can I zoom in here, please? Thank you. Yeah, so, I mean, it is an absolute stunner. So, this is a... Let me hop into capture mode here for a sec. I'm just going to call you Zeny, okay, Zeny? Zeny is a lower Cretaceous boreopterid pterosaur from China, and boreopterids are basically a group of pterosaurs from lower Cretaceous China that used these needle-like teeth, as you can see here, very strange-looking needle-like teeth to forage for freshwater fish. And we talk about that a lot on the channel, how you have all these jutting out teeth in really awkward angles, really skinny ones, and they're very, very effective at needling fish and picking them up. But I just want to talk about the actual quality of the mod itself, because it's really good. The patterning on this thing is absolutely spectacular. Those wings are like the best wings in the game. I think they look really, really good. The colours are beautiful. It looks really interesting. The head shape is fantastic. Got that really interesting crest popping up just sort of halfway down there. All comes together really, really well. The teeth are really well modelled as well. It stands out, you know, it's very unique. Go away, Quetzal. It's very unique amongst the other pterosaurs. It's fantastic. I'm proper chuffed with it. Right, let's check out the other pterosaur we have. This is Tupandactylus. I know it's the second one we've seen, but it's by someone else and it looks nice. So let's check it out. So this time our Tupandactylus is by Leaf and Johnny V. They've returned once again for their duet and done a really nice job on the Tupandactylus. We've got that massive, massive crest there with the really interesting patterning. Really stands out again amongst the other pterosaurs, which is always what I'm going to see with the pterosaurs. It can be quite a difficult thing to do. Still got the weird gremlin body, which, you know, it's again part of what we want to see. It's part of their charm. Weird little gremlin body. And I swear the head... This must be based on a macaw. That patterning there around the eyes is very macaw-esque. Like, it's so blatantly a macaw. Now, that makes sense. Tupandactylus is Brazilian. It's an early Cretaceous Brazilian pterosaur. Interestingly enough, the crest... So they actually essentially took the crest and put it on a drone to test out whether it would have helped when it comes to flight. And basically found that the crest would offer no advantage whatsoever. So all a bit pointless. So it's probably just for display and showing off and stuff like that. People are still suggesting it could be used for gliding, but the common idea seems to be that's not the case. Where have you gone, Booker? Oh, well, just chilling. That one looks really good. Come here. I want to click you. Thank you. Absolute beauty. I'm not sure about the eye markings, if I'm honest, because they look drawn on. It kind of loses something there. But other than that, I think it's really nice. And the crest in particular is beautiful. Tupandactylus, so what it likely did, you know, it's got those short little wings, it's got the big weird crest. It was probably a forager. It was probably climbing trees and jumping around and flying very short distances or flying to escape from predators more than anything else. It probably did spend a lot of time climbing trees and foraging around for berries and insects and stuff on the ground. Which is actually, it made me think, it's a little bit of a shame that our pterosaurs in this game are so limited. Now, we've talked about this, of course, already with Quetzalcoatlus, which should be walking around the ground, hunting things on all twos, or fours, I guess. You know, it should be a terrestrial hunter predominantly, and instead it flies around all day. Tupandactylus, same deal. We have similar dinosaurs in the game as well, similar pterosaurs, I should say, where it shouldn't be spending all its time flying around. It shouldn't necessarily be feeding from the fish feeder. I mean, it probably could do, but, you know, maybe it should be eating from an insect feeder. Maybe it should be sitting in trees. Maybe it should be walking more. You know what I mean? I think that's a bit of a shame. I wish the pterosaurs had a bit more individuality in that respect. Anywho, let's move on. We have one more creature to check out. This is Xiphactinus by HyperSGYT. This got released about 10 minutes ago, so quite excited. Very dramatic. So, Xiphactinus looking absolutely... Oh, it actually has different colours. I thought they were all going to be the same. I'm quite impressed now, actually. I really expected them to all be identical. But no, that is a beautiful looking fishy. They're very shiny. I always look for the shininess when it comes to the fish. It looks really good. Blends right into the game. Era appropriate. This is a late Cretaceous fishy from around the world. Predominantly east of the US, as far as I remember. But it's been found in Germany and lots of Europe and yada 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 and Australia. Has a really well-known example. Funnily enough, I think last time I talked about this mod, because we have seen this mod before, I believe back in Jurassic World Evolution 1, I probably talked about this exact same story, but there's a really well-known fossil for Xiphactinus, where it's like a 14-foot, 15-foot long Xiphactinus fossil that's been discovered, and we know this was a predatory, hungry, angry little fishy, because inside this 14-foot Xiphactinus was a 6-foot fish called Gilicus. Gilicus something, that's just the genus. Basically fully formed. So Xiphactinus didn't just eat it, it basically swallowed the thing whole. And the evidence suggests that Xiphactinus died pretty bloody quickly afterwards. So what they think probably happened is that it swallowed this fish whole, like the woman who swallowed the spider, basically. And then the fish wiggled around, still alive, within the Xiphactinus, and the wiggling and the movement tore the Xiphactinus apart from the inside. So the Xiphactinus dies from internal hemorrhaging and organ failure, and the fish inside dies of just being drowning in bodily fluids, basically. Anyway, it's a really good looking Xiphactinus. Looks really good. It'll be really nice. Again, it's like a food item for your mosasaur if you want like a more chill little aquarium. I really like that idea. Flooding like a little single orb lagoon with loads of Xiphactinus might look really cool as well as some of the other lagoon creatures we've seen. Blends really well into the game. Animates really nicely. Really nice and smooth. No problems at all. Love the texture work. Looks like a fish. Fantastic. Right, I have one mod left to show you. It's not a critter. What happened to you? You died. Oh, of course you would be the Megatherium who dies first. This is actually a new decoration. Perfect in time for Halloween, which was 3 days ago. I am showing you this late. It was actually uploaded in time for Halloween, but it's what it is. Perfect in time for Halloween next year. And what we're looking for, there we go. It's a pumpkin! Now, it's misspelled on the page. It's called pumpkin, but there you go. I'm going to put some pumpkins down. Tell you what, let me just do this. Do this. It's better. There we go. Let's zoom in a little. There you go. A little pumpkin. It's a fiery little jack-o'-lantern. Looks fantastic. Let's turn that into nighttime. Does it light up? Oh, you know it does. Oh, that actually looks really good. I really like that. Oh, man. Right, Horror Park next year, I'm telling you. Or we'll try it again this year. Now that we've got so much more capabilities. But yeah, so this is the pumpkin by Open Naja team again, and IloDev. And just, yeah, I love extra decorations. Like, new species is really exciting, but I think decorations is even more exciting usually, and that is very cool, and I'm going to integrate that into the park build. We're doing a realistic paleo zoo right now, and it's kind of gone off the wall already. But I think it can go even more off the wall. We'll have to wait and see. That's about it from me. You can download all these mods at the link down below. This has been a much longer video than I intended, so I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit. But I hope you enjoyed. Lots of fantastic stuff today. Some real high quality today. There really has been. My personal favourites, the Tarchia is great. I always love the Megatherium because it's Megatherium. The Rex is fantastic quality though. And the no, we're not doing that one. You know, the toothy son of a gun. Also absolutely phenomenal. But they're all really good quality. And yeah. Cool. So, I will be back with more mods next week. or this weekend if something crazy happens. But I really hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Definitely go check out these mods at the Nexus. Give the mod makers lots of love because they very much deserve it. Giving you all this lovely free content and giving me all these things to make videos on, quite frankly, for free. And, you know, that is a very cool thing to support and love something with no expectations. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for joining me. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye. For reasons unknown to science, could have a giant hump here that glows in the dark and dispenses lemons when it's cold outside. I mean, it's unlikely, don't get me wrong, but it's not factually impossible.